Hello, my name is Genesis Varela, and today I'm going to be sharing an article called Guidelines for Serving Students with Autism Spectrum in Educational Settings. And this was actually written by the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction, and they did have one of the main writers there, that was Kristen, and my name is right there. And so we're going to go ahead and start with the overview of the article and the theory. It was divided in various sections, but the biggest sections that I was able to learn about were the definition and the history of autism. What is autism? Where did it come from? How has it been developed throughout the years? And how many students have been diagnosed with autism throughout the years? Then we have the measurable annual goals and specifically designed instruction for students with autism, which is one of the biggest parts of this article. And then we have the special instruction focus, the behavioral supports. And just a quick recap on what, for those of you that do not know what autism is, it is typically characterized by an impairment in socialization, verbal and nonverbal communication, and other characteristics associated with autism are the engagement in repetitive activities and stereotypes, movements. It can be rocking or it can be flapping their hands. Those are just examples. Those are actually two of my students. They rock in their chairs, and some of them flap their hands during lessons. And then they also another characteristic is a resistance to environmental change or change in daily routines. And these, I just wanted to mention these characteristics because we are going to be talking about specific objectives and goals and how it is so important to know these characteristics when working with students with autism. And then we talked about the behavioral supports. So, and in this article, they talked about behavioral assessments and behavior intervention plans when working with students with autism. So that's the main overview of the article. And we'll talk about different strategies and the importance of all these three areas. All right, so then we have the author's perspective and opinion. So one thing that really caught my attention was the percentage of students with ASD has increased from 1.9% of the total population of students with disabilities in 2004 to 6.2% in 2014. And that is in 2014. So that may have changed, but this is what the article provided. So as we know, this percentage increase places challenges on schools across the country. So it is so important for special education teachers to be prepared and to know their stuff and how to work with this population. And then we have, the author also talked about how it is so important to promote the use of appropriate assessment tools and evaluation procedures when working with students with autism. And then there we have a picture of a teacher, and you can tell that the student's he looks distracted. And I found this picture online, and it just caught my attention because the teacher is just using the book, and the author really emphasizes the importance of using appropriate assessment, and that might not be the way the student's going to learn. So we have to find the tools and the evaluation procedures to help these students learn, differentiate our lessons in order for them to learn. All right, so my personal reaction. So of course, it was based on the percentage, and the percentage of students with ASD has increased. That was definitely one of my reaction. I had no idea how much it has increased. I was aware that it had increased a little bit, but I had no idea that it was by so much. So that just challenges me a lot, because there are way more students in the school system with ASD, and that means we need to be prepared. We need to find the tools to work with these students. And then we have my point two. I'm going to try to move around the camera so you can see. But due to the wide range of abilities and skills found in students with ASD, the selection of assessment tools should include more than just academic functioning. The tools should include assessments to determine learning styles, group participation skills, and independent functioning skills. So again, we're talking about the wide range of abilities. When you talk about autism, you're going to have low functioning, high functioning. That's another thing that this article talked about, and how it'll vary depending on the student. And as I said in my point too, the range of abilities and skills found in students with ASD is so wide that it is so important to find the right assessment tools to work with them, and how we need to determine what their learning styles are, if they're able to work in group settings, and if they're able to work in independent functioning skills. And then my point 3 at the bottom is that students with ASD exhibit a range of difficulties with self-regulation and communication that make it challenging for them to meet classroom and school behavioral expectation consistently. So this is a great reminder, and that it just really caught my attention as a future educator, how it is difficult for these students to communicate in the classroom. It is difficult for them to self-regulate. That includes behavior and academics. Sometimes a lot of teachers get upset because the behavior plan that they have for the students doesn't work, but you just never know with students with autism, because they don't have the capacity to self-regulate in school settings. Some of them can be pretty high functioning and they're able to, but a lot will not. So this was just a great reminder for me, and how I need to have different expectations for them. And then the implications to practice is what the article provided, which I thought it had a lot of them, but these were the most important ones to me. So the point 1 is the effective environmental supports like visual cues and social narratives will be beneficial to promote students' use of prosocial behaviors in the classroom. So those are strategies on how to motivate students to be more social and to interact in the classroom. And then point 2, we have the promote appropriate research-based instructional and behavior interventions to help them, since they are not able to do this on their own. And then the last one, educate students with ASD how to participate effectively in a learning group, use unstructured time wisely, self-regulate emotions and behavior, complete a work schedule, complete work independently, and other social skills. So these are just several skills that were important to me from the article, on how we need to teach them to our students. And there were more than these, but I just thought I would provide a list of what we need to do with our students in the classrooms, and those are just important. And since I don't have my graphics here in my last 2 slides, I added 2 pictures. And so with students with autism, we might have nonverbal students, so they are not capable of speaking. So we have PECs, a picture of a student using PECs, which it's the picture exchange system, and they are asking what they want. They can point at the picture. So you have to find ways on how these students will work, and find ways on how to help these students communicate in the classroom. So that's just one way. It can be sign language, it can be other different ones. And then the second picture is a cooking class, and I just thought it was important to teach them social skills and living skills in the classroom. In our classroom, we do cooking, we do library jobs, we do classroom jobs, and we try to implement all these jobs that to help them learn all these living skills that typical students will, this might be just a fun skill to learn, but for students with special needs, autistic, with ASD, these are some skills that, might be necessary to learn, because to us, they're just fun activities, but to them, they might not be fun. They might need to be taught these skills specifically. So those are just 2 examples of the graphics on my personal reaction and the implications to practice, since I wasn't able to add them in my slides there. And then I have my references right there. It was just one article. I would visit them. There's the website. You can click on it. There's a lot of strategies that you can use to work with these students. This article was extremely helpful, and I got to learn a lot of strategies and activities on how to help students with autism. Thank you so much for taking the time to review my presentation.